Pioneer4You IPV8. How's it going, everybody? This is Andy with AstonValleyVapes.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the IPV8 by Pioneer4You. So like always, we're going to run through the basics of this mod, then we're going to have a quick vape on it, dive in, take a close-up look, take a look at the mod itself, the screen, battery door, all that good stuff, see what it comes with, then we'll bring it back up top, mess around with the wattage a little bit, and I'll give you my overall thoughts on the Pioneer4You IPV8. So starting off with the basics, this is a dual 18650 mod. The batteries are not included. And while it does say there is onboard charging, you do need to pick up an external battery charger if you do not have one already. I'm going to cover that though later in the video when I give you my overall thoughts on this mod. The wattage range is from 10 to 230 watts. It does have temperature control for nickel, titanium, and stainless steel. Does it work though? And again, that's another thing I'm going to cover later in the video, my overall thoughts. It also does have programmable TCR2 as well, so you can twerk that a little bit. Pioneer4You does state the minimum resistance on here as 0.05 ohms. It also does have an OLED display, as you guys can see right there. And it has your standard battery door cover on the bottom for your 18650 batteries, but we'll see all that better in the close-up. Let's go ahead and have a quick vape. This is at 45 watts with the Veco 1 tank on here with the 0.4 ohm coil inside. Alrighty, here we have the packaging on the IPV8. Flip it on over, just gives you a little bit of information about Pioneer4Yu's address there, and then it says caution, this is not a toy. Color options on this side. Open it up, you'll get the IPV8 user manual. You get a Pioneer4You warranty card and a certificate that it passed quality control. Take out the foam insert where the IPV8 is, and you'll have a Microusb Port charger down there. Alright, now here is the IPV8 right here. Up, down buttons on the front, fire button on the side here, center located 510 up top. You've got the wattage right here, you've got the voltage, you've got the resistance of the coil, and then you've got a little puff counter down here, and then your battery indicator on the right. Up and down buttons right here. As you hold it, it does start to go faster, up to 230 watts. No button rattle on the up and down button or the fire button. I really do like this fire button, nice and clicky. Here you have your battery door cover on the bottom, just push it in, slide it out. You do have the battery indicators on the left and right there. To close it, you just push down, slide it in, and it stays in place. I've had no problems with this opening by itself. It does sit nice and it does lock nicely in place there, and that does not rattle either. Now this is the black version here, and you can start to notice this little pleather cover right here. It's starting to get raised in that bottom right hand corner, and then there's a tad bit in that top left corner too. The bottom right though is a lot more noticeable, and you can see that portion right there, it's starting to peel up. I do push it back down like that. I do push it back down into place, but you can see that crease there. It still is starting to peel off even after pushing it back down. I'm not sure how it got marked up like this, but to be fair, that's going to happen on all of them. Earlier I did take a key right here. You can see this line. I took a key to the RX mini cover, and now that's got that same little line right there. It's not as noticeable. There's one right there you can see, and then there's two on this side right here. It's not as noticeable as on the IPV8, but that's going to happen to all of them. That's not a con directly related to the IPV8. I'm not sure if that would happen on the other covers instead of or if that's only going to happen on the pleather ones, but that is something that you might want to take note of. Here you can see it from the top, just that center located pin. Got this nice little point right here. I usually use my thumb to fire it, and I rest my thumb right here, index finger on this side, but it does fit nice either way if you're going to fire with your thumb or if you're going to fire with your index finger. Swap it around, thumb rest right here. It's got a nice form factor to it. Here you can see it with the Eleaf RT25 25mm tank up on top. 25mm do look very nice on the IPV8. Zoom out a little bit, you can see that 25mm on there. Now there is a Microusb port on here, and it's not for firmware updates. Pioneer4You says you can charge it, but I do not recommend that because it is not balanced charging. I always recommend using an external battery charger to charge your dual 18650s or triple 18650s, but definitely make sure to use an external battery charger on this one here because it is not balanced charging inside of the IPV8. That's going to take care of the close-up though. Let's bring it back up top, have a few more vapes on it, and I'll give you my overall thoughts on the IPV8. Alright, now that we've got the close-up out of the way, let's go ahead and have a few more vapes on it. I'm going to bump it up to 55 watts here, which is 10 watts higher than I was vaping before the close-up. Alright, so now I've got it at 55 watts, still the same 0.4 ohm coil inside of the Veco 1. Good vape there. It fires right when you hit that fire button. I really like the fire button, the metal finish to it. It just feels very nice. All right, this is at 65 watts. So in wattage mode, this thing does perform great, fires right away. You hit that fire button, it's producing vapor. Very good overall vape in wattage mode. And temperature control though, that's going to lead into my overall thoughts on this mod. So my overall thoughts, number one being temperature control and stainless steel. Now I personally never vape in temperature control, maybe 5% of the time, if at all. The only time I do use temperature control is when I'm looking at a device, playing around with it, so I can let you guys know if I see any problems or not. And also when I do a video covering something here, I use it for myself for a couple weeks, unless I do let you guys know this was a first look or I just got this, and I'll do a follow-up. Jot down some notes, see what I see, and then I don't look up any other reviews or any other videos, anything like that, because I want it to be as original as possible. Because if I notice, if I read a review or I watch another video, then I'm going to take what they say and I'm going to stick with that, and that's going to be stuck in my head. I'm going to be like, yeah, okay, I really do notice this here. I either like that or don't like that. But there are two companies that I will look at reviews and watch some videos before, and that's Pioneer4You and Sigeli, just because I don't always trust their products. Technical information wise, DJ LSB Vapes, he is the man. He covers everything perfectly. He goes way in depth in devices. So I did check his out on the Pioneer4You IPV8 here. And Daniel does note that the stainless steel temperature control is pretty off inside of here with these standard settings. Now you do have TCR functionality, so you can program it yourself. But the thing is, when you get a mod out of the box, it should work like it says it's going to work. You shouldn't have to be doing any fine tuning and tweaking. If you want to use stainless steel temperature control, you should be able to put your mod in the stainless steel temp mode, put on the tank you're using with the stainless steel coil, and it should be working. You shouldn't have to do any extra fine tuning afterwards. And when a product says it's going to do X, it should do X. So if you do like using stainless steel in temp control mode, you are going to have to go in there to the TCR settings and tweak it yourself, because the presets for stainless steel on here, not too good. So that right there is my first little problem I've noticed with the IPV8. Number two is the onboard charging. Now a lot of devices these days, they will have a micro USB port on the device, and they'll also come with a micro USB cable, but they don't specifically say it is chargeable. Pioneer4You does say you can charge your batteries through this, and then it turns out it's not balanced charging, so you should not be charging your 18650 batteries through the IPV8. And as you guys know, I've always recommended, if it's a dual 18650, triple 18650, I always recommend using an external battery charger to charge your 18650s. For this though, Pioneer4You, they say you can charge it with the batteries inside of it, and then it turns out that their onboard charging isn't even balanced. Number three is going to be lack of firmware upgradability. A lot of these mods these days, Smok's mods, Joyetech's mods, Eleaf's mods, they have firmware updates pushed out after the release. Pioneer4You, they don't even give you that option. It's not firmware updatable. It's now 2017, you have 50 other mods to choose from. Why would you choose one that's not firmware updatable? That's beyond me. Why would you release a mod that's not firmware updatable when you have companies that are supporting it post-release, like your Smoks, like your Eleafs, like your Joyetechs, and a lot of other companies out there. So that's going to be another notch on the negative category on the IPV8. My last little note on the IPV8 is going to be this cover, like you guys saw in the close-up, this little pleather little piece right here. Mine is starting to peel a little bit in the corner, and it has got marked up. To be fair on that though, I'm not even sure what happened on this. It looks like it was keys that scratched against it, but my keys are never directly pointing against my mod like that, and they're never even in the same pocket, so I'm not sure what caused that. But to be fair though, I did take my keys to this RX Mini, their little pleather cover on the outside, and I have the same result on here. So that looks like it's going to happen with whatever pleather style mod. If you do have a sharp edge that does catch the pleather, it's going to make an indent there and it's going to be marked up. So that is not specific to the IPV8. That will happen to all mods with these little leather pleather covers on the outside. This is the first one that I've had a peeling issue, like on this mod right here, the RX Mini. I have not had any peeling issues. It sits nice and flush in there. Other than those things though, I do like the feel of this mod. It does feel, the metal does feel very nice, and I do really like the feel of the buttons, and it has a nice grip to it. Your index finger lays nicely right here, thumb on the back panel, center located 510. I wish they would have just had this metal finish all the way around instead of having this little leather pleather cover right here. The black does look nice, but some of the other color variations, it sort of just looks out of place. But really overall, I don't trust Pioneer4You products anymore. I don't trust Sigeli products anymore. It just seems with so many different options out there for a dual 18650, what's a good convincing reason to get the IPV8? That is a serious question. That's not being sarcastic. I would like to know the IPV2, IPV2X, IPV3 Li. Those were my favorite Pioneer4You devices. They were fantastic. They were built like tanks. You could pretty much run a car over them. They worked. They were great overall. I just don't know what happened to Pioneer4You after the IPV3 Li. They sort of just started going downhill. Maybe they lost some higher ups. Maybe they lost a designer. Maybe they lost some of their engineers. I don't know what happened, but I know personally since that IPV3 Li, there hasn't really been a Pioneer4You product that's really wowed me or made me want to pick one up. So that's pretty much going to wrap up this video on the IPV8. If you guys have any questions about the IPV8 or any vaping related questions in general, please leave a comment down below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. And as always, vape on.